Buenos dias from beautiful Matagalpa, Nicaragua. Little different format today. Due to copyrighted music happening in the vehicle, you get to do a voiceover, so you're not going to be staring at my mug. But I've been promising when I had the opportunity a drive-through of Matagalpa to the two neighborhoods that I'm looking to potentially do a rental in, and that is the Redencia of Molina Norte and Lomas de San Francisco. Currently, right here, my driver, Oscar, who I will be sharing his WhatsApp information, great taxi driver, also does private driving, which he's doing for me in this video. I said I would be sharing his information. He was great. Very limited in English as well, but between Google Translator, most of us know how to get things said. So this is picking me up from my current Airbnb. This was actually not the most direct route to where we needed to go, but it's an area that I wasn't able to climb by foot. So we technically did a left-hand turn out of my driveway. We went uphill. We went up into a part of the neighborhoods that I had not seen yet, and we're going to be coming back down towards the main road, Santa Ana, that I've been staying on, and we're going to be bypassing the hotel work coffee that I stayed at. But this is an opportunity for a lot to see the area to the just to the immediate north, where there is some greenery that you don't find in the main part of the valley in the city of Matagalpa. It's like, oh, look, there are trees. It's beautiful. And this is the drier part of the year, so anytime you see green, it's a beautiful thing because you're going to see a lot of brown for about another 6 weeks, and then the rains will start coming and things will start blooming again. But this was all new neighborhood for me. I was very impressed with what I was seeing. Again, I was happy to see more trees. Not a lot of it in the main part of the city. It was explained to me that once long ago, the people were instructed to pull the trees to make more room for housing. Then they figured out that if you have more trees, it actually keeps the city cooler. So most of the what we would call urban sprawl is the houses going up on the valley walls where you'll see trees have been kept. But yeah, this was all new area for me. Again, very steep hills. This part seems relatively flat, and that's nice. But we are going to be coming up to the other turn before we get to my prior establishment of Hotel Work Coffee. And Oscar was again, was a pretty good driver. I was very happy. Didn't feel like I needed to put my foot on the imaginary brake. We didn't have any close calls. Matagalpa has been a lot safer than Managua. I did witness three motorcycle accidents my last week and a half there, but I had not witnessed any accidents with a vehicle at all in Matagalpa, and I've been here over a month, actually a little bit longer. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of colonial style buildings. So this is us turning back on to Santa Clara. So we literally just drove an extra, we'll say 3 minutes farther than we had to. This is the bridge going over the Rio de Matagalpa, which I was walking over daily from the hotel. Hotel, as I'm pointing to him, is coming up on the left as if he didn't know where that hotel was because he's a cabbie that lives here. But yeah, right across the street in the white, that was the Hotel Work Coffee. Now, I had tried to walk this path before. Some of you heard that I had tried to walk up to Molina Norte, could not handle it. So this part of the road I was able to do. And that part is all fine and dandy. This is a relatively mild incline. Um, but nice areas as well, but very congested on the narrow highway. So this is the equivalent to a major county road. This road will connect you to cities in the farther east, like Delia, Latuna, Tula, Delia. Try to get that right. Um, and there is a bunch of industry in this area. There is a grocery store known as the Maxi Poly, which is kind of like a Walmart's neighborhood grocery store that comes up on the left. And I had actually taken the right in the fork of this road, trying to go further east because I had looked over at one of the roads to the left and saw how steep the hill was and just realized there was no way I was going to be able to climb it by foot. But again, in this area, you'll see the houses are less congested. You've got a lot more greenery as you go north out of the valley. I will say, if it's not already apparent, four-wheel drive is pretty much mandatory, and we're in the dry season, so I still question how people drive in the rain here. If somebody was going to invest in a local business, I would highly encourage you find Nikas that are mechanics and put money into their business of transmissions and brake service because it's a lot of work on these vehicles in this area. So at this point, we're actually going north. We've got a little curve in the road coming up here. Again, you can see how things get brown as we get up to the higher elevation. Small incline at this point. Still gorgeous day out, mostly sunny. Unfortunately, we only had the rain that 1 hour for one night. That's all we've had so far, but that'll change in about another month. And as you can see, a one motorcycle can sit in your way for a while. Um, some people use their turn signals. It is required, like it is everywhere else. Um, Passing on the left, passing on the right, it all happens. Motorcycles can split lanes. It's actually encouraged. And people pass in no passing zones and they run stop signs like they're not supposed to. And yet, I haven't witnessed or heard of an accident yet. I'm on a major road. The fact that I haven't heard one out front has been very surprising. Going further down the road, there's, yep, quite simply, yep, motorcycle passing multiple vehicles. We're passing the motorcycle. But again, some beautiful scenery in the background, just mountain after mountain after mountain. I'm going to say at this point, we're probably sitting right around 23, maybe 2,400 feet at tops. And we are coming up on our turn. We're going to be doing a right-hand turn here shortly, and that will actually be the entrance to Molina Norte. Shortly is interpretive. I kind of got lost in the ride. It was a good thing I was holding the camera as steady as I was. So these are pretty much industrial businesses, shipping businesses, and houses, and not a lot of anything else in between. To be in this area, you do need a vehicle. Here we go. Here is our turn for Molina Norte. The first thing you're going to see on the right-hand side is their sports complex. Now, it's under a bunch of renovations right now, which is a great thing. But they do have a community sports complex with an in-ground pool, basketball courts, play fields, playground area for the kids, trees. You can see the trees are looking in rough shape in the dry season. That's all going to bloom here shortly. And there is security for the community. You don't see a guard at this point, but now we start seeing the first few houses. Actually, that is still the sports complex there. From the side, you can see some guys are working. So we start coming down into a small ridge. Now, never been up here before. I've only heard great things. I understood that this was less populated. There was greenery. The houses, there were some houses that were more like the North American homes. They weren't U.S. homes, but more similar. There were small, tiny houses with small yards. And for a 1 year lease, while I learn the community, learn the language, and save up some money for purchase, This looked like an ideal area to research. You can't find a lot. If you happen to look on Facebook, you'll see a house that's been advertised since 2013. In fact, there's three of them that have been advertised for over 12 years. But now you start seeing actual trees. Here are some private homes um, versus full concrete walls. There's a lot more with metal grating and just absolutely gorgeous. So there is a mix of homes. These aren't track houses. There's not one, two, or three styles. They're all individually done. You will see the water tanks risen for in the event when there's water shortages. People don't have to worry about it. And at this point, Oscar is asking a local who is a construction worker on one of these home sites if he knows of any rentals in the area. What we're about to find out is he's going to point us in the direction of the house that I had been directed to the day prior, that I'm actually supposed to go see 3 hours after this ride. So a little foreshadowing. I actually got to physically get a good look at the house before it was going to be presented to me. So again, beautiful, manicured. Most of the roads are newer cobblestone. Some of it's actually asphalt paved. There are some rough spots in the road. There are some big ditches, but these are absolutely gorgeous homes. There is a variety of yards. Uh, Again, this isn't an earthquake zone, but a lot of this walling of dirt and brick will ensure that in the event there's heavy rains, they're not going to be looking at mudslides that destabilize their yards and property. There have been mudslides in the last few recent years, I believe about 3 or 4 years ago, near this area that did cause some significant damage. But again, the more modern the home, the more modern the roads, and you allow for better irrigation of drainage flow, the more you mitigate those risks. So this is definitely an area that I could see somebody doing shipping container homes in. Nice small modular homes, small yard, something to call your own, not stacked immediately on your neighbor's wall. So now if you look right through the windshield there, you can actually see Matagalpa in the distance. So we're actually above it to the north, looking down over the valley head. We came in from the right-hand side there. I really like that house. I really liked that one. That one made my turn my neck. And then to see how deep it was, really threw me for how deep the building was. Some of these houses will literally take up the entire lot. They don't want a yard. Others have some greenery. Either way, you can build some pretty nice establishments this way. Building regulation is less in Nicaragua. There's less permitting and requirements. That doesn't mean that everything's built unsafely, but often it means things are done smartly. So, come to find out, this is the house that I'm supposed to view 3 hours later. So, it is a two-bedroom, one bath. It is a tiny home by any other means. It has a small yard. There is a water tank in the back. That little desk you saw on the side. Yep, this was my pause while I was trying to bust out the translator so you can pardon the hiatus in the video for a second. But there's a what looks like a little table outside the building. That's actually your wash basin. So this does not have a washer and dryer. I am all about laying my clothes out to dry in the air, but my ability to physically wash all my clothes by hand is probably nil. I did also like the fact that there's an empty yard next to this, and pretty much it's the end of the road. And this other house looks like it was still under construction or maybe just vacant at the time. So we're turning around at this point. We've seen the one and only house that was for rent in the region. And I'm going to pause for just a moment, and maybe not. All righty. Alrighty, back on that. So we are still in Molino Norte. I'm still reveling at looking at all these beautiful homes and yards and the manicured sidewalk areas. This really looks like it could be part of Nevada or California at this point. Um, but the variety of sizes, the variety of colors, the variety of design. I really like the diversity in the housing. Again, it doesn't look like a tract housing suburb where you have to try to remember which unit is yours. The houses stand out as their own. This is definitely an area I could see spending time in. Also, it was daytime, but it was very quiet. So I've been down in the main part of the city, a main road where there is a lot of urban noise and sound, which that's just the sounds of a city. But this was very quiet. I was very surprised to see it. I was a little shocked that I didn't see more people walking around. I understand this was a warmer part of the day. We went out at 10 o'clock in the morning, and your peak UV is pretty much 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we at this point had seen everything we could on this side. When we had talked to the construction worker, he said that we were not able to get to the other half of Norte on the main road because of a construction project. We would have to take the long way around, which is what we were doing in the process. But you'll see a lot more of these buildings are under construction. So the only people I saw out were construction workers, and then the one young lady and her kid as we turned into the property. But yeah, this was the main road. We were told that we can't go directly down by this gentleman here, and we were going to have to take the long way around to Molina Norte. So that is Oscar. Again, I'll be sharing his info at the end. And we were only about 40 minutes into the ride. I actually had him booked for 2 hours and not knowing how much there was going to be seen. So here we are. He's confirming that the other way is still open. This guy doesn't know of any other rentals in the area. Pretty much the only rental anybody knew is the one with the sign in the window that we just went to. And we're getting ready to take off and take the longer way over to the other half of town. And he's thanking the guy, a little longer winded than I had expected. Turns out that one of them knew somebody else that knew somebody else because it's only a city of like 150,000 people. So if you were born and raised here, you're bound to know a lot of people. This was the pause while he was checking the phone. My own mental pause as well. And in gear. Yeah, me trying to use the translator to say stuff to him. Sometimes that works out, but it's a shame that you're using a translation system. I have enough complaints about auto spell and auto correct, or as I call it, auto incorrect, because I know the words I'm trying to use don't tell me the word drown is crown, because I'm not trying to crown you in the river. I'm trying to drown you in the river, but it'll correct my speech. Well, the translator app does the same thing in Spanish, and it'll try to correct Spanish words into English autocorrect words before the translation, and it really burns my butt. So much for AI systems, which are just advanced language modules. But again, these houses just absolutely floored me. I would be happy in any of these. We saw very few houses that were truly in poor shape, and yet this isn't the rich of the rich. This is a mixed community. There are people that are lower income, but not the lowest. There are people high income. And again, because there is less zoning laws and building permit restrictions, you can pretty much build sky is the limit. You can go into the poorest barrio and build a mansion if you want, because people do that. If the family comes into money, they normally don't move far from the family, but they'll build near the family. So, yep, this is us leaving the main entrance on the west side of Molina Norte, and going above to try to drop in on the east side, which was just another great opportunity. I had not done this is my first driving video to actually see. I wanted to do it on the way to and fro Matagalpa from Managua, but I didn't want to try to bring my GoPro as extra luggage to and from the airport. But 2 hour and 15 minutes serene ride through a rural road, very much like this. And it's about 70 miles, but it takes over 2 hours to drive because of lower speed limits and the roads aren't straight. So, note to self, I will try to do a follow-up video after rainy season, maybe like in September, of the same area. We can look at the before and after, see how much change there is from the driest part of the year to the wettest part of the year. But I've been assured that this turns into beautiful, beautiful greenery. And we are back up on the main Nika Highway, heading back towards town. And we start our gradual descent. Side note while we're doing this, so I don't care what radio station, playlist is being played in any business or radio. The impression I get as far as the Americanized music that is broadcasted here is as if somebody found KTEL's greatest 40 American hits from the 60s to the 90s and everybody plays it. I've heard the same 20 American songs. It was noticeable when I was at Hotel Mazante for a month. I got to hotel work coffee and I didn't hear as much music. But as I go to restaurants, whether it was in the restaurants in Managua, whether it was the in drivers, which was the privatized cabs like an Uber in Managua, whether it's the radio station being played in a car, radio station being played in a business, or even a business's private playlist. Uh, well, I take that back. Like Brooklyn Cafe does a lot of bossa nova style, easygoing, like light jazz versions of music because it's a coffee house, and they have a lot of like bossa nova versions of other people singing popular American songs. So it was actually nice to hear some Eagles songs done in a light jazz, but it's the same 20 songs wherever you go. So if you were burned out on the American Pop 20, it's similar but different here. You're gonna hear the same American songs. And it's slightly comical when you hear the locals sing along and they get about 90% of the words right, but they don't enunciate it 100%. Unlike I knew Filipino karaoke people, and they sang better than the original artist. They would focus so much. So I know karaoke is big through Latin America. I've only been to one restaurant so far in Matagalpa that had karaoke, and yeah, families come in to do karaoke, and they take their karaoke serious. I did get a kick out of the guy that picked the song Tequila, considering it's the only word spoken in the song. And he did more dance moves with the sunglasses on at night than there were words in the song Tequila. So I thought that was kind of funny that somebody could pick that song, didn't know it would be in rotation. But it was kind of cute. So yeah, we got to a little lower elevation. You see more greenery. We're actually going to drive through town at this point because we weren't able to find an additional true rental. But parts of the town that I hadn't seen before. And the road split. Okay, so that is a bus stop. It is a major bus stop. This is back to the path I was walking about a month ago that I had to give up when I got to the far Puma station. This time we're going to come up on that Maxi Polly grocery store that I told you about. We're going to just pass it. You're going to see a bunch of school buses. They're not actual all chicken buses. They're actual school buses. There's a major private school up the hill, and I do mean up the hill. So yeah, this I was able to walk, huff and puff. I was laughing. I was walking as fast as the Saturday morning congestion on this road. So I kept on running into the same back truckload of local workers, and they saw me huffing and puffing with my hat on and my camelback, and they saw that I was drinking water out of the hose, and they thought that was pretty cool. And I'm looking over at them, making jokes about myself. I'm like, yeah, Turisto Gordo, Jubiliado no tengo prisa. So, the fat tourist, but I'm retired, so I'm not in a rush. And they thought that was cool. And I kept on getting called soldado, which is soldier, which I think because of the Tilly hat. So anybody that has a full brim hat and is light skinned is probably going to be called soldier. Backpacks, everybody here has a backpack. And yet, I think the combination of a full brim hat and a backpack uh, kind of nails me as the Chile that's Salado. Don't know yet. I haven't actually asked anybody why they thought I was a soldier. I did have fun yesterday. I had to pick up a couple items. Had to find a local houseware store, which happened to be the same one I found my coffee maker and my tea kettle in. And I picked up a big, uh, fluffier pillow and an extra set of sheets so I can wash the ones I have here. And I'm waiting in line at the register, and there's an older couple behind me, and I look over at the point of sale stand right next to us, and it had just for men, like hair dye for beards. And I looked over at them. I picked up the box and I said, "Muy tardy. It's too late. It's very late." And the wife didn't pick up on what I was trying to say, but the husband did and laughed. So he's pointing at my beard and wanting to know how long. And I told him, Tres años. It's I've been growing this for 3 years, and they got a kick out of it. Now some other people on the other line are eavesdropping and kind of smiling. Now they're looking at the beard. It's like it's okay to look at the gringo right now because he's talking about it. And I was like, yeah, there's no way. And then the wife looks up at looking towards my hat, and I lifted my hat up. She saw I was bald, and I said, way tardy. Yeah, there's just no way. There's nothing left to die at this point. So again, everybody got a little kick out of it, broke up some levity while we were waiting in a long line. I don't mind acting the fool a little bit. It gets people to laugh. Not that Nikas don't know how to have a good sense of humor. They have a great sense of humor. But it's okay to laugh at my expense when it's not, cruel. I'll be the first one with the self-depreciating humor because if you can't laugh at yourself, you're missing the point. So yeah, I had walked all this. I felt pretty proud about that I'd gotten this far. And I actually walked farther than before we turn off coming up here. But that is a chicken bus. That is not a school bus. Yep, you can see we're going uphill. That is the turn off when I came back. I went down that hill to the right to get back to my neighborhood. So I went another mile past this turn. So now the Maxi Poly was to our left. You couldn't see it in the video. Here's the school bus, as I mentioned. Yeah, lots of buses. Now you're going to start seeing some students here and there. Couple of that guy was running. When we came back down, he was still running. To the right, that is a 2 foot deep, 1 foot wide concrete cinder block channel for water displacement. If you drove off the side of the edge of the road, You're going to need significant repairs to your vehicle. That was a very deep ditch. I love the fact that we don't have warning signs for everything here. They're not trying to prevent stupid from doing stupid. It's more Darwinism here. But again, beautiful area. You get into greenery. There's trees. These roads are in better shape than many. And on the right, that is the school, which I love the fact that they used a bunch of shipping containers in its construction. The school wasn't entirely shipping containers, but they used them in secondary, third stage phase processes of construction. So kudos for thinking outside, well, using the box, using the container box, pun intended. Back to lots of greenery. This is actually a private estate on the right-hand side. Yeah. That's a lot of land. That's a lot of money. Next estate, another estate. Yeah, this is big bucks. And the more you drive through this, the less you'll even notice cinder block. Cinder block is there for your safety. It's your security system. The concertina wire that goes with it. So here we are coming up to another security guard. He's just lifted the bar, and Oscar's asking if he knows of any rentals. And yeah, basically the only one he could tell us about was the one that we already knew about that we had already seen. Which was disheartening because it's not a large population area, but there are enough houses that one would assume there is more property for rent than one. Which goes back if you've seen any of Scott Allen Miller's videos or my prior comments. Um, Advertising of rental properties. There is no MLS system here. Realtors have injected themselves into an unregulated market here. There is no rhyme to reason. There are no standards by which they have to perform other than being caught in blatant theft or fraud. The government's not going to put up with either of those. But it's a very unregulated industry. So there is no listing of rentals or for sales. And even if there is a sign up for sale or for rent, it may no longer be. Or somebody may say they want to rent or sell it and then not be there to do it. It's very perplexing. In the States, we're used to a more direct, formative way. I'll look it up online. I'll look it up in the paper. I'll look it up on Facebook. I'll look through the MLS. I'll go through a realtor. I'll go through a property manager. I know somebody that's in one of those industries. My neighbor knows somebody that's in one of those industries. We have a lot of resources when it comes to acquisition of land. And here you almost have to go door to door and ask. And it may even be as far as, hi, you don't know me, knock, knock, knock. I like the outside of your house. Would you be willing to rent it to me? It may even be that far. I haven't gone that far as soliciting myself yet because I don't want to get picked up as the local gringo. But yeah, so that was all of Molina Norte. We didn't go through the rest of it once we were told there was no more rentals to be had by the security guards. Who know? They know who's coming and going. They know if there's somebody going in and out with keys or if somebody's doing maintenance to prep views. They're on the inside track of this information. So this video is going to break here in a moment. And we're going to switch over to the second video, which is my travels to Loma de San Francisco. So we are re-entering the north end of Matagalpa. Yeah, these are chicken buses. And trying to turn onto the major highway. You see a parked car, and then you see the big semi and cars at different angles, all trying to go the same direction. Horns are essential here. It's the second form of communication when driving. And with that, I am going to say adios. So, one of the beauties of post-production work is you can go ahead and do a 25-minute narration and realize that one of the functions was muted. So, here I am reiterating what I was telling you in the last video, which is the current video. We've completed the Molina del Norte ride. We are now heading back through the northern end of Matagalpa, and we are now heading over to the east side of town, known as Lomas de San Francisco. So, some of these houses I had seen in the past. There is the river, typical mixture of business and homes. Yeah, these are not flat roads. If you look to the right, that thing you could build up some serious speed and cause damage on that hill. It's about a 70-degree incline, and it's about 5 blocks long. There's a good 200 yards that somebody could really hurt somebody with that thing. So I'll be curious how people drive in the rain. I've said it before in a couple of videos. If somebody wanted to come down here and invest in Nicaraguan-owned business, I would encourage you to find some Nicaraguan mechanics that want to build or expand on a transmission and brake service. Because with these hills, the four-wheel drive that's necessary, and most of these are not automatic, they are standard transmissions because of the cost for repairs and maintenance. I think you would have a golden business to support. There cannot be a loss of work for brakes and transmissions in a city with these kinds of hills. Think of San Francisco in California as we head for Lomas de San Francisco. All right, we are cutting across Matagalpa. At this point, we're actually heading south. We will be doing a left-hand turn to go uphill out of the valley into Loma. Had I known how much time we were actually going to utilize for this, I would have asked Oscar to stop somewhere and pick out one of the local street vendors for food. So you got to cross this little ditch. as it's a sharp turn, and we're going up, 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 up the ladder. I took the same road with the landlord when he took me up to see a unit up in Aponte, which has a goes up this road and then veers off to the right. I see people walking up this hill each day. I'm shocked. Kudos to them. They can't have any health concerns because this is a major exercise going up this hill. A mixture of brand new housing next to old housing. There is no rhyme to reason here. Your permitting and zoning laws do not exist in the same way as they do in the states. So it's not about you can or can't do something because it might affect somebody else's property value within a zoned area. It's about can you build it? Do you have the materials? Do you have the money? Do you have the manpower? There's much less regulation. So one of the reasons that you don't see track housing with one company building the same model for a person day in, day out is because people are doing this ad hoc when they have the money or means to do so. So here we are coming out of the valley. We're up on the ridge top. So as we gain more vegetation, you get up on the ridge top, you start to notice that it is browner because we are in the dry season. April is the driest, hottest month of the year. I'm actually looking forward to next month seeing how the rain changes things. So there is open land available up here. I don't pretend to know what's for sale and what's not, but there is a potential for purchase up here. And welcome to Loma de San Francisco. Definitely not the house I can afford. So, unlike Molina Norte, there are some very prominent expensive homes here. There were nice expensive homes, but these stand out as mansion level. I didn't see the mansions in Molina Norte, which is more of a middle class, getting out of the city and getting a small yard and a little bit of privacy type step. This has a mixture of inexpensive houses to mansions and everything in between. This is Oscar asking somebody out the window for instructions. Do you know of any rentals? And the gentleman politely informs us he knows of one rental. That's why you always stop and talk to the security guards. They know their communities, they know who's going in and out, who's showing a place, who's got people doing modifications, renovations, deep cleans. It ain't gossip when it's true. Yeah, more gorgeous estates. And the one you're looking at on the left is the one that was pointed out to us. So, little foreshadowing. I managed to get pictures of this place after we got done with this ride, and it looked on the outside to be a 3-2. It is in fact a 3-2. It's a very well manicured yard. Has a little front yard to it. So Oscar's going to do his 5-point turn in the narrow street with the small car. And this unit is for rent. So, like I said, small unit or a small yard in the front, well manicured. We didn't know if somebody was inside or not. There is no sign to let you know that it's for rent or not. There is no contact number. And like most homes in Nicaragua, there's no visible address to it. So Oscar does honk once to see if anybody comes out, which they did not. So, like I said, I did get pictures of this later on. The owner evidently wants 700 for an unfurnished 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Now, the structure is gorgeous, and evidently the owner is willing to go down to 600 for an unfurnished 3 bedroom, 2 bath that looks gorgeous. That is out of my budget, and most people should not be looking to pay that level of price just because it's a nice neighborhood. It should cost lower because you're going to be buying appliances. Now, it's already understood that most rentals are going to be in a situation where you're bringing your own appliances. Well, you're also bringing beds, tables, chairs, cookware, plateware, blankets, sheets, towels, pillows. You're going to spend easily, even with better Nicaraguan prices, you're still going to spend an easy $2,000 to move in. And we haven't even determined if there's any of the utilities included or not, because in many situations with rentals, some or all of the utilities are included. Some properties in Nicaragua have a fixed electric bill. They only pay a base amount. So I wasn't even able to haggle about whether or not utilities were included, and the low ball for an unfurnished 3-2 was going to be $600 a month. And that's just too much for my market. If it had been listed at a proper 400 unfurnished, I would have asked for a copy of the lease so I could take it to my attorney so he could review the contract, because the $200 differential a month, I would have paid for my appliances and the initial move in within that 1 year's lease. And then hopefully rent for an additional year. And at that point, I'm pocketing tens of thousands of money in savings that second year to go purchase or build after that. So, not within my realm. The Molina Norte unit, I'm assuming because it's smaller, 2 bedroom, 1 bath on its own lot, and it is fully furnished, no need to spend any money to move in. I'm assuming that one's going to be listed at 500, but I can't tell since the owner didn't show up with the keys. Miraculously, though, I got pictures of the second unit here in Lomos de San Francisco, and keys could be made available, but again, the price is too high. So it has actually an acrylic paint deal to the concrete floor to most of the house. It was absolutely stunning. It's done mostly in white. There was this black, like paint oil design in the floor swirled. It's gorgeous, but just I'm not in the mind set to spend the 600 a month on it, and then still have to go buy appliances and such, and probably still have to pay for all the full utilities. That would have easily put me into a $900, almost $1,000 a month budget for housing. And regardless of a nice neighborhood, I should not be paying that much. So the quest goes on. This ridge right here is looking over the city. I probably should have gotten out and taken a good shot right there, but I was kind of still mesmerized from the view from the car. Again, this is my first opportunity out riding as a passenger to take a photo. I wanted to do the video of Matagalpa to the airport, but I didn't. I didn't want to bring my GoPro through Aduana again. The first time through, they wanted to keep it, even though cameras are authorized, and I just didn't want to create a hassle for myself when I was doing a 50-hour flight to and from back to the States. So we're looking at some of the rest of the neighborhood just to see if there's something out there, and just to get an idea what the rest of the neighborhood looks like. You may find a house you like, but if you don't look at the surrounding 3 to 5 blocks, you don't know what kind of neighbors you have. If you've noticed in this video, nobody is walking around. The only people we really see is one maintenance guy and a security guard. When we were in the Molina Norte, it was construction workers and the security guards, and then one woman with her child at the entrance to the complex. But you don't see people walking around. In fact, most of these houses look at least not active. I would say either many of these maybe, well, here it is a summer, but also maybe they're winter homes for people. We don't know. But didn't see a lot of human activity. Still absolutely love these houses. This is incredible. And the water delivery truck. I still got to find out how much water bottled water service is going to be since so many people utilize it here. It's not that you can't drink the water, it's just most people don't like the taste. Another gorgeous home. Very well manicured. I love that driveway overhang. I love the awning over that. That's absolutely unique. Yeah, this is the kind of acreage I would want. So the word for apple monanzas is also a land measurement in Latin America, but each country has a slightly different variation of how much it's worth. Nicaragua, a manzana is 1.7 acres. I was living on an acre in Florida. 1.7 with a wall around it would give me enough for a 3-2 home. It would give me enough for a separate building for staff to live in with their own bedroom, bath. It would give me enough room for a home theater, and it would give me enough room for a recording studio with still plenty of screened in patio to kick back and relax in and enjoy retirement. So, when you start looking at a water tank and possibly your own septic and, putting reserve water, doing solar, I could quickly fill 1.7 acres of land. So, very curious to see what's going to be available in a few years. More gorgeous mansions here with the multiple cars locked up. So at this point, we have pretty much seen everything that we thought we were going to see. As we're leaving out of here, we do find a house that's actually for sale. And the funny is this house has been previously posted on another YouTuber's channel. As I love that one as well. Look how deep this building goes. That's a good 80 feet deep. Had to be at least 40 foot across. Just a huge footprint for a property. But yeah, we've got a house coming up on the right that's a big purple mansion that's been on other videos and it's been for sale for evidently quite some time. Now, just because it has a for sale sign doesn't mean that it is actually for sale. And just because it has a for sale sign doesn't mean that the people who own it are taking phone calls on it. So it's hard telling. Look at this corner lot with all the cobble, a lot of attention to detail. Somebody is paying a good landscape to do great work. See, these are the people that appreciate trees and shade. Yep, waiting and out. So yeah, at this point, I'd really come to the conclusion there was not a lot to be accessed today. I did pin drop that house that we were told by the security guard was the rental. That's how I was able to confirm it later on with the photos, and was able to speak to its rep. And yeah, too much. And I'm hoping on Monday to get the follow up on the Molina Norte property. Maybe the owner shows up this time since she doesn't answer her phone. These are not uncommon things in Nicaragua, so you don't take it personal, but it is disheartening. I've got about a month, I've got a month to find a long term lease, something that I like, and get the lease in front of my attorney and then get it signed and pay 2 months rent in cash and then go down to Managua and submit my residency. So yeah, big purple mansion coming up on the right past this guy. Yeah. So, oh yeah, it's for sale. Doesn't have a price on it, but it's been for sale for at least 2.5 years. So, don't know how much mansions go for when you can't sell them or you're maybe not trying to sell them, but it's unobtainable to me. That is still more house than I'm looking for. I'm guessing the footprint on the bottom is about 1,600 square, which makes it at least a 3,200 foot square home, unless there's a big open foyer in the middle and it's colonial enclosed. But it looks to be well over a 3,000 square foot home out of my price range. And I would need more than a full-time maid cook and a full-time driver handyman to maintain that property. So nice to see it, nice to know it's there, but no bueno. So I wrote down the number for it, but not going to be calling it once I realized its size. And now we're on the long and winding road. More Beatles reference. And I will apologize for the voice quality. I am still dealing with a sinus infection almost a week now, getting better, but it is annoying. If that was for sale, that would have been perfectly acceptable. Who knows? And we start going downhill. So it's nice to think that you can be roughly 5 miles outside of the city limits and have this much of a drastic change from a complete urban environment to this very rural and sparse, upscaled area with still has a variety of housing in it. Before we get to the end of the video here, I am going to share Oscar's info and I will have it in the notes. But Oscar is a taxi driver in Matagalpa. So if you need a taxi and or if you need a private driver in the Matagalpa region, his number is 505, which is the country area code here in Nicaragua, 505 8624 8742. Highly recommended. He was a great driver. I had booked him for 2 hours. We only used an hour. So I told him we could go ahead and cut this short at the hour. I paid him the hourly rate, and then I gave him a nice tip on top of it for his time and consideration. He was appreciative, told him I was going to share his information with this video. And I hope you all have enjoyed the two driving videos I've got now. I've got three walking videos. It was fun. I would have liked to have been more productive in the rides because after this, like I said, when I met up with the rep for the first house, the owner didn't show up. And then the rep had the information on the second house that we looked at in Lomas and got me the pictures, and it's overpriced. So supposedly that's the two rentals in the two communities in the second largest city of the country. Um, it is what it is. Until I find out more, I am going to cut this short since we're almost at my apartmento on this. And I wish you all well and adios.